Welcome back, MicroPigs. Tommy Post here. If you're watching this, I have to assume you probably were already watching part one of this disassembly. I think yesterday we made it through the brake caliper and the carrier. We made it all the way down to the hub, getting the hub removed. Well, I did take some feedback when I put part one out, where one of my viewers said that the camera was a little bit too far from the action, couldn't really see what I was doing there with my hands. I do apologize for that. I'm not a I'm not a filmmaker. That's not what I do for a living. But I do enjoy getting this information out there, especially for the new guys that want to work on their own ride. So today we're going to pick up exactly where we left off yesterday. Now, as far as the whole camera thing, I'm going to do my best to take maybe some secondary videos to squeeze in there today on this edition, or maybe some still pictures that are close up so you can really see what the components look like that were disassembled. Unfortunately, the clips that are in this video were actually taken yesterday, so I can't really go back and fix where the camera was sitting, but I'll do what I can. And moving forward, hopefully for volume number 3, I'll be able to position it better to where you guys can see what's happening. Next, we're going to take on the castle nuts that are on the steering linkage, as well as the lower ball joint. Now, I didn't show it in the video, but it was just like the other side. I tried to straighten out the ends of the cotter pin and push it back through the castle nut, and they are fused in there and stuck. So, I'm going to go ahead and do a thing that some are comfortable with, some are not, but I'm going to do it. It's always worked fine. Those cotter pins are made of soft metal, so it should shear if you have an impact gun. So, a little piece of that pin's still in there. It's been cut as far as I can to get it close to the threads. So, take out the old trusty half-inch drive Aircat 1150. Thing works great. And just like that. So there's that castle nut. Threads are still in fine shape. And it managed to just shear off the rest of that pin, which I'll go ahead and run a drill bit through there to chase that hole back out. Then we put a new pin back in. So that looks fine. Swap it out. See if we can get the lower one to act just as nicely. Same. If my compressor would shut up. Threads are in fine condition. This thing managed to go ahead and just shear off the cotter pin. So now, what we want to do, put your castle nut back on your steering linkage right here. And run it to where just the top of the castle nut is flush with the top of the threaded stud that's in the steering linkage. Should be able to take a little ball peen and just like that. That's all there is to it. Okay, moving on. We're going to go ahead and get the hub off of there right now. This is the point where you want to have a bunch of extra rags because you're going to get greasy. It's helpful to have a pair of snap ring pliers. These are not exactly the best ones for this type of snap ring, but it'll do. It also helps to have an assortment of picks. These will help you get that snap ring off. Now, I don't know if you can see it from there, and I apologize. I'm definitely not a professional filmmaker. Otherwise, I'd probably live in California. On the end of your CV shaft, right about an inch in on the splines, you're going to see a snap ring and a groove that it's supposed to be in. Now, every so often, somebody will do some work for you and they won't get that snap ring seated. Or, if there's a different type of issue and it's pulling on it hard enough, it could damage the snap ring, and in either case, it not be in that groove. There's a washer right behind it that's almost the same size as it. It's not much bigger, but you've got to make sure that snap ring is in place. Now, it doesn't mean that your CV axle is going to just fall out of the car, because it's really stuck between your manual hub locker and where it goes into the front axle differential assembly. So it's not going to just fall out. However, what it will do is it'll move enough that it will likely damage your front hub locker. That was the case on that side over there. When I took it apart, I found that the snap ring had come off of there. Now, certainly don't want to point any fingers, but I had somebody else do a little work for me because I was out running around the stinking country and just couldn't do it myself. Figured I'd kill two birds with one stone. Go do what I have to out of state, come on back and go for a trail ride. Well, unfortunately, I found a lot of little things that were not put back together properly. So I'm just going to go back to doing my own stuff. So anyway, back to where we left off. You're going to want to clean that grease out of there the best you can. Like so. It's pretty nasty. Well, I've got a million shop rags, so this will be okay. A little bit of water in there. Mostly just some dirty axle grease. I don't feel any sand in there. That's a good thing. Okay. Just like that. So as you're running your finger around through there, you're going to feel two little Phillips head screws. I don't know that I will get into those two screws in this take, but they're important. Hopefully you'll find two, because there should be two there. All right, let's see if we can work at this snap ring just a little bit. Should be able to roll it right up into position wherever you like it. All right. I'm going to have to stick a pick behind it, no doubt. Come on, baby. There it is. All right, once it's started out of that groove, once you get it up out of that groove, just a regular common screwdriver, also known as a flathead screwdriver, works just fine. Keep on coming. Keep on coming. Oh yeah, I can feel how loose that bearing is in there. All right, that's the snap ring right there. And then you've got a little washer underneath of it. That should come right out. And there it is. So from here, this is where we have to get a Phillips screwdriver. All right, so our next step is going to be those two little Phillips screws that I was telling you about that are right inside there. Now what those are for is it's part of the retention system that keeps your bearing preloaded where you set it. Okay, if that makes an ounce of sense, it should. So what you need, very small punch. A peen hammer's nice, or you can hit it with the back end of your ratchet, like I've done from time to time. So normally I don't like to hit those Phillips with an impact gun, but in this case I'm gonna, because they really should not be in there very tight, and the risk is just messing up the head, the slot, the Phillips slot. You don't want to mess that up, because then they're just kind of a pain in the butt to get out. So what I'll do, take a regular Phillips screwdriver, put it inside here, and then I like to give it a little wrap. Okay, that helps shock the threads, like so. And it also, if there's any rounding, or if it's boogered a little bit, doing that actually kind of helps with the to reform the shape of the Phillips slot. Number 2 Phillips. Stick that on there. With good luck, I won't strip it out. And it comes out nice and easy. Just a little guy, like that. And number 2. There it is. So, nice and easy. No worries. So this is the point where we want to go ahead and start to unload the bearing. In this case, usually what you'll find is a nut, a very fine thread nut that's perfectly round and has a bunch of little holes in it. You can stick the tip of your pick inside of those holes, and usually, I'm sorry, I take that back. First is the retaining washer. First one's a retaining washer. Alright, it's actually got, it's filthy. Can't really see it. What it's got is a little ditty right here and a little ditty right there. And what they do is they fit into what looks like a keyway opening in the end of the spindle, which is really where the bearings ride. So it slides on there, and what it does is those 2 notches don't allow this to turn, so that when you put your screw through one of these holes into the nut that's underneath, the nut can't turn because those screws are holding it in place. That's the importance of this. Don't forget to put that back in. This should be the case where maybe, see that? Just stick that right inside of one of those holes, feel around in the grease, and just start turning it. Here it comes. That one was like super easy. Thread's in good shape. And that's your nut. That is what actually is holding all of that stuff together. Your bearings, your hub, and so on. So the greasy part, it should just come right on off. Now you want to be careful to really show a little bit of care. You don't want to screw up the seals on the back of it if you can help it. I've had new seals for the backside on order from Korea for about 3 weeks now. So my intention is to go ahead and do this repair, put it back together with these seals, if they'll stay in one piece, and then I'll just have those seals when they finally decide to show up someday, and I'll put them in on the next round.